Wonder of wonders, miracles of miracles. Oh my gosh, crazy stuff is happening with Mozilla. The CEO of Mozilla, Mitchell Baker, the gratuitously paid CEO of Mozilla, is out, and a brand new CEO is coming in, and Mozilla is doing layoffs and announcing fairly dramatic changes to overall strategy. And there's more, and they're getting actual press coverage. Like the press, I know the tech press is actually covering this. It's blowing my mind. I've been covering Mozilla related problems for as long as I can remember. I mean, for the whole last year, I've been covering Mozilla related issues, and I've been the only one out there covering them. And every single tech journalist out there has been literally either ignoring it or chastising me for covering it. And now they're covering it. Oh my goodness. I want to cover this just a little bit because it's just absolutely wild to me. First, the basic high level is this. Mitchell Baker, who is the longtime executive director of the Mozilla Foundation and also has been the CEO of the Mozilla Corporation, because they're two separate entities, one owns the other, is out. Right? Things have been going bad for Mitchell Baker. I mean, real bad. Mozilla total overall market share is in the toilet. The revenue coming in from their big lucrative deal with Google, which supplies like 80, 90 something percent of their total overall income, is declining. Things are not going well. And it's not just market share numbers that are down, it's total number of users that are down. I mean, this is bad. Things are going bad for the maker of Firefox. So Mitchell Baker is going to remain the executive director of the foundation. Why? I don't know, because she's done a terrible job. Like, by every measurable way you could measure something that is measured, she has done a bad job. Revenues are down, her pay is up, total market share is down, customer satisfaction is down, like everything is down. But she's remaining in control of the foundation. But they're bringing in Laura Chambers, who has been on the board of directors for Mozilla for a little while now, in to fill that role. This is a post from Mitchell Baker, and I'm going to read this to you. It's just a little clip from Mitchell Baker's announcement. And I think it's interesting because of, I think, what will become obvious. Laura's focus will be on Mozilla Corporation with two key goals. Number one, vision and strategy for the future. Well, that's just corporate gobbledygook. But refining the company's vision and aligning the corporate and product strategy behind it. This will be grounded in our mission and unique strengths and shaped by our viewpoint, our point of view on technology's future and our role in it. Okay, that's a whole lot of gobbledygook, right? But read on. Number two, outstanding execution, focus, processes, capabilities. Okay, again, corporate gobbledygook, and here's where it gets interesting. Doubling down on our core products like Firefox and building out our capabilities and innovation pipeline to bring new compelling products to market. All right, well, let's chop off the whole we're going to bring compelling products to market gobbledygook, right? It's just buzzword bingo at that point. But doubling down on our core products like Firefox. This is a brand new thing. Now, I've criticized Mozilla a lot. I mean, a lot in the past year. And I've pointed out that when they outlined their vision for the future this last year, Firefox was not part of that vision at all. In fact, they made a point of pointing out that Firefox was kind of on its way out and they were transitioning away from Firefox into a purely AI-driven company. That's not a lie. That's not an exaggeration. That is their announcements. Now, I covered it as such, and I think, the only journalist that pointed out that that was insane. But that got a lot of traction. Even though I was the only journalist covering that, it got a lot of traction. And I know because I saw the numbers. Now, they're coming out and saying flat out, yes, we need to double down on Firefox. Firefox is our core, and hallelujah. How long did it take to get to that point? Oh my gosh, that this is potentially good news for Firefox, and I like hearing good news. As much as I criticize Firefox and Mozilla, and as much as I criticize many of these open source organizations and companies, I want to see them succeed. And this is the first sign of Mozilla wanting to succeed that I've seen in years. And this is a really big deal. Now, this is Laura Chambers. Laura Chambers went over to LinkedIn, which I thought was a fascinating thing to do. She announced to the world that she was going to be the CEO of Mozilla, the maker of Firefox, on LinkedIn, on Microsoft's LinkedIn website. Not on the Mozilla blog, not on social media of any kind, not via a press release. She issued a statement on LinkedIn. Weird, but fine. Okay. She says, quote, I joined Mozilla Corporation as a board member 3 years ago, thrilled for the opportunity to be a part of the team making a big difference. Mozilla has a powerful legacy of shaping the internet for the better and is uniquely positioned to continue to do so. And that really matters. This role is more important today than it has ever been. Over that time, I have been impressed and inspired by the passion of the team and their dedication to the mission. Today, I am looking forward to becoming a CEO as we continue to work hard to build a better internet, an internet that is not dominated by negativity and divisiveness, but that celebrates, embodies, and supports our deepest hopes for human progress. A huge thank you to Mitchell Baker, the outgoing CEO, for the leadership she has provided, for her support in bringing me on board, and in advance for her ongoing partnership as we work together on Mozilla's future and creating a healthier digital world for us. A few things that jumped out at me there. First, and I want to repeat this, Mitchell Baker is going to stay on as the executive director. That's fascinating. She's done a terrible job as both the CEO and the executive director, but she's not going to be the CEO anymore. They brought in a new CEO. Now, honestly, that's probably smart to at least bring on a new CEO. I don't understand why she's still the executive director when she has done such a terrible job, but she's in control. So that's the way that's working out. The second thing that jumped out at me here, I am looking forward to blah, 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 as we continue to work hard to build a better internet. And this is her vision of a better internet, an internet that is not dominated by negativity and divisiveness, but that celebrates, embodies, and supports our deepest hopes for human progress. Now, that's a lot of fluff, right? I mean, we can all see that that's a whole lot of fluff, but that is not dominated by negativity and divisiveness. Now, there's a lot of different ways we could read that. But one of the things I want to point out that is rattling around in the back of my brain is over the last few years, Mozilla has made several statements that one of their primary goals is to censor those that they politically disagree with. Now, I don't want this to be a political discussion. We're not going to get into the individual politics of that, but that's been a business strategy for Mozilla, right? How they phrased it was, quote, more than deplatforming. So they want to find ways to use Firefox and other outlets that they can create to do more than deplatforming of people that they might disagree with politically. They've said that blatantly several times. They've worked towards that goal. That's just kind of their thing. I wonder if her statement here, and honestly, you could read it either way, is either for or against that long-standing Mozilla goal of silencing political dissidents, basically. Uncertain, truly uncertain what that means. She could be implying that we're going to get rid of the negativity and divisiveness of the last few years of Mozilla, which Mozilla has been causing a lot of negativity and divisiveness and declaring that they're going to do more than deplatforming of people, et cetera, those sorts of things. Or she could be signaling that she intends to do more of that. It's unknown at this point. We're going to have to kind of remain to be seen. This remains to be seen. I have some questions I've sent in to Mozilla. I have not heard back. That is not surprising. But then things continued. Mozilla announced right on the heels of that, like this new CEO comes out, and then a couple days later, boom, layoffs. Now, the layoffs here were fascinating because they were primarily hitting in areas that were not Firefox core. So, like, for example, Mozilla spun up their own Fediverse Mastodon instance, the Mozilla Social Project. They laid off several people from that project because they don't feel like they need to have a big team around it. Maybe that means they're going to pull back from that. The statements suggested as much, but they still have a staffing on it. Overall, around 60 employees were laid off. Not a huge layoff, but a small amount of layoffs. And they've continued to make it clear that they're refocusing on Firefox, on their core. Personally, I think that's great. I applaud Mozilla for that. That's something that should have been done years ago, and it's something that I've advocated for. I've in private, I've talked about it in public to them, and it's good to see them doing it. Now, the third little miracle here, because those things are miraculous. I did not think that either of those things would happen. I did not think any of that would happen because I didn't think Mozilla could do it. I didn't think Mozilla was interested in turning the ship around. I thought they were going to smash into the rocks on purpose. I did. But here they are, maybe turning it around, maybe not. It's kind of hard to know, but at least they're making the overtures like it might happen. And that's a darn miracle to me. But the third thing is that we're now seeing all of the sudden, once Mozilla has publicly acknowledged the issues, right, and ousted a CEO, now, after all that has happened, we're finally seeing press outlets covering Mozilla in a real way. Finally, for the first time in years. Now, I've been out here yelling about all this stuff, doing deep dives into their IRS records and their annual reports and market issues and all sorts of things. I mean, there's been problems galore. I've been talking for months, if not years, about pay issues and market share issues and licensing issues and income issues and where the funds seem to be going, because it seemed an awful lot like funds were going into strange places or political causes and all sorts of things. And I've been the only one talking about these. And as I've released these articles have exploded, right? People will quote them and screenshot them on every social media network. They get talked about all over the place. They get seen. The journalists, the tech journalists, read them and talk about them. And I know in at least some instances have meetings internally to discuss whether or not they should respond to them, whether they should do a puff piece about Mozilla because Mozilla is friendly to them, or in some cases advertises with them. Lots and lots of issues there. But ultimately, no press outlet has done anything more than a slightly critical article on Mozilla in a long time. And that all of the sudden, all at once, is changing. And it's amazing. Now, I'm just going to quote the Register here, but they're not the only one. Mitchell Baker logs off for good as CEO of Firefox Maker. And the article from the Register was actually critical of Mozilla. It was a miracle. And now did it go into all the details? No. Did it go as far into the problems with Mozilla as I've dived over the last year? No, of course not. But they actually touched on it. They actually touched on the Mozilla CEO pay, the fact that Mitchell Baker got like $7 million in 2022. And we don't even know what she made this last year yet because Mozilla's reporting always lags a year behind anyway. But we're seeing actual criticisms, like real criticisms, not Firefox market share is down. Should they do more? Like, that's the most critical anyone's done. They haven't been covering the fact that there's been obvious crazy corruption, bizarre politics, strange processes, money that's going in. Like, there's been all sorts of problems going on in Mozilla. And this is the first time that any of these outlets have even dared to start talking about them. And this isn't just like a one-off article. Mozilla wrote 3 articles over the last week about this. Another one here, the most 2024 things to do are laying off staff and eyeing up artificial intelligence. Mozilla's doing both. And it was a decent article. It's a good one. Go read it over at the Register. Now, did it cover, again, everything? No, but it covered a lot of this stuff. And this is the first time we've really seen real coverage of Mozilla. How awesome is that? I look, is it kind of lame that over the last year plus, all of these outlets, including writers and journalists and folks over at the Register, have attacked me, have criticized me, and have ignored the things that I've said about Mozilla every time, every single time. And then all of the sudden, now after I've been reporting on that for over a year, they finally start to report on it. And they never once mention any of the coverage I've done, even though they're basing a lot of their coverage on my coverage. No, they didn't. Would it have been classy of them to point out that I did a lot of the legwork for them? Yes, it would have. Did they do that? No, of course they didn't do that. Are they going to do that? No, of course they're not going to do that. But just the same, but they're covering it now. Not all of it. They're covering like 20% of the Mozilla story. They're covering as much as they can cover while still, we'll get into that at a different time, but they're at least covering it. And that's a miracle. That is a friggin' amazing, awesome miracle. And my hope is we see more of this with more of the tech companies and firms that the Lunduke Journal has been covering, but that none of them else have been willing to cover. Not one of them. They haven't been willing to cover any of the problems with Red Hat or IBM or the Linux Foundation or Wikimedia or any of it. The Lunduke Journal has. But this is a sign. This is the first step towards other outlets actually doing tech journalism. It's weak, it's late, and it only happened after Mozilla basically came out and agreed, yeah, there was some problems. So we had to oust our CEO and put in a new one. It took that drastic of an action on behalf of a company for the tech that covers the company to start covering the company. That's ridiculous. That's utterly ridiculous. So the Register and ZDNet and Wired and Verge and all the rest of you, do better. Like, do some journalism. But this is a start. And so I'm going to high five you for that. I want to see more of this. I want to see more of this because the Lunduke Journal is going to keep one up on you and actually doing journalism until you know what I'm saying here? So get on it. I have a lot of questions here, and I think there's a whole lot of unknown stuff. I've reached out with some of this and others to some contacts at Mozilla, and I haven't heard back from any of them yet. I will, of course, let everyone know if I do hear back, but I have a lot of questions here. The first and foremost, the outgoing CEO, Mitchell Baker. The last time we got a report on her, she made roughly $7 million in a year. Is that going to continue? What is she going to be making going forward? Is she going to continue getting pay? Will the new CEO get similar pay? Will the pay go up? Is the last year of Mitchell Baker's income, will that be even higher? Like, what's going on with the pay here? It's worth knowing considering how badly Mozilla's been doing. What's going to be happening with the artificial intelligence focus? Because they've made multiple statements now that AI is part of the future of Mozilla and Firefox, but that they're going to double down on Firefox and incorporate AI. That's as far as we really know. We do know that multiple investments have been made by Mozilla Corporation and Mozilla Foundation into artificial intelligence projects and companies. But what those organizations do, what those AI projects do, is many and varied. So is it just that we're going to see integration with multiple AI projects? Are we going to see many AI themed projects come out of Mozilla? We don't know at this point, but we're going to keep an eye on that. We just really don't know how far that's going to go or what that's going to take. What is going to happen with the censorship activities of Mozilla? Because they've been very proud. Mozilla's been very, very proud of their goals for the internet, more than deplatforming, censorship of political adversaries, people that they view as not politically aligned with them. Is that going to continue under the new CEO? Is that going to fall under more of the purview of the foundation? What's going to happen with all of that? I mean, it's worth knowing because part of the idea behind Mozilla is a free and open web. I mean, they're one of the organizations that really pushes that idea. And this has been an area where Mozilla's actual focus deviates dramatically and drastically from that free and open web idea. And it would be nice to see them kind of figure out what that is and kind of come up with a new idea of what their mission statement is. I hate mission statements, but I honestly I want to see a Mozilla mission statement that actually is in line with what they do, because for years that just hasn't been the case. Will they continue political spending? They've been doing a lot of political spending over the last few years. I've covered that in some of my previous articles, like Firefox Money and some others. I'm not even saying it's bad or good if they continue political spending. I just am curious where they're going with this, because they clearly need to be careful. They clearly monetarily have some issues. So are they going to continue spending at such an exorbitant rate, putting hundreds of thousands of dollars into extreme political projects, and oftentimes towards organizations that are very, very extremist and kind of alienating for a lot of their user base? Is that going to be an issue going forward? The Google income issue is I think clearly on the table and has got to be front and center in the minds of the new CEO, because almost all of the income for Mozilla Corporation comes from Google. Almost all of it. Almost every bit of it. There's just little tiny chunks that don't. And that is declining for multiple reasons, but one of them is just because Firefox market share is declining. Less people use Firefox than they used to, so Google is paying less money to Mozilla. It's really straightforward. What are they going to do about that? What's the new CEO going to do? Are they going to shore that up? Are they going to negotiate better deals? Are they going to diversify? What's the deal there? Unknown. How are they going to tackle the Firefox free fall of market share? Because it's been dropping steadily. I mean, Firefox is, outside of, some Linux distributions, heading towards it's irrelevance. I mean, it's sad to say that, because I don't like that happening. I like variety and choice in the realm of not just web browsers, but web browser engines. And so one of the reasons I like projects like the Serenity OS Ladybird project, because it's a new browser engine, and I like Firefox continuing with Gecko and everything else, because I like seeing a variety of engines out there. I think that's a good thing. But in order to make sure that that is continuing, we need to see Firefox market share at least doing well enough that with the rest of the Firefox Corporation, they can stay profitable and continue that development going forward. And what's going to happen with press coverage? Because we're seeing the first signs in years of actual press coverage about Mozilla coming out of all of these outlets. I mean, this is the first time. I mean, a lot of them will point to, we wrote a negative article about Firefox 2 years ago. And then you go read the article and it was like, should Firefox do more and better? Maybe. Like, that's as critical as they get. They don't really do deep dives. They don't really do in-depth journalism. And even now, the in-depth journalism is lacking. They basically copied and pasted 2 or 3 numbers from my articles and called it a day. And several journalists are getting really peed off that I said that, but it's true. But this is the first sign that we've had of life among tech journalists in a while. Will this continue? Or will they continue to actually cover Mozilla? I mean, has the charm of Mozilla just died off for all the journalists, and so now they're willing to attack them? I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with this, but I hope we see more. Because even if it's just little tidbits, right? Even if they just barely scratch the surface of the problems with Mozilla, and even if they're really just copying 1 or 2 lines from my articles and ignoring 99% of the content and 99% of the data that they should be covering, It's still something. And even if they're not even like acknowledging that they did that, that's fine. As long as they're covering it. It's a start. It's a start, and I'll take it. In my opinion, it's a friggin' miracle. Um, Thank you to everyone who subscribes to the Lunduke Journal, makes all this possible. There are 3 sites in the Lunduke Journal: lunduke.locals.com, nerdyentertainment.locals.com, and conservativenerds.locals.com. 3 completely separate communities and sites. I publish different content to each. All the tech content, this particular video, the Linux Sucks shows, other various tech podcasts, tech articles, and the like, all go at lunduke.locals.com. There are no politics there. None whatsoever. I mean, we mentioned, like in this article, this video, I mentioned the existence of politics at a company, but we're not going to judge those politics. We're not going to talk in depth about those politics. We're simply going to point to them and say, that's a tech company, and here's the fact that they are spending money on politics. It's worth noting that, and move on. Right? That's as far into that as we're going to go. Then there's nerdyentertainment.locals.com. We got a brand new book club and a movie club over there. We're going to be watching Stargate this next week, which is awesome. So go to nerdyentertainment.locals.com to join in the fun over there. Again, no politics there. But if you want to talk politics, going over to conservativenerds.locals.com. It is just like politics in your face. There's lots and lots of politics there. If you follow me anywhere but on these sites, you will see a hodgepodge of content. If you follow me on YouTube or Rumble or Twitter or anywhere, you will see tech content and entertainment content and political content all smashed together. But if you want them separated so you can enjoy individual bits of it along with all the extra content that gets posted to each one, you want to sign up at each individual site. It's fantastic. If you go to just lunduke.com, you can find links to everything, because that's where it's all at. You can watch all the Linux Sucks shows there, which we just did Linux Sucks 2024, and it was awesome. I just hit the table really hard, but it was awesome. So go watch it. Go hang out. You can watch that one for free, by the way. You don't even have to pay me anything. You just go get a free account on these sites, so you get all the videos and shows. Some of them are free, some of them are exclusives, but then at least you get all the free ones if you sign up for free. So just go sign up for free. Go to lunduke.com, click all the links, and sign up for free, and have a really good time. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, nerds and nerdettes across the inner tubes, I do declare, end broadcast.